Okay, my friends, you know, as I know, tattoos are very popular, and you're seeing them all the time now. Now, somebody's looking into this called Lund University, and they're looking into the new research. They claim links tattoos to increased risk of cancer. Now, I'm not a doctor. I can't say one way or the other. This is Lund University. But I do have some input, which you will see or have seen, about how the immune system works and nucleophilic substitution and working with the ions. That's the key when you get into real deep chemistry, which is from enzymes. They create ions. And ions do... boy, this gets complicated. Good morning, my friends. Today we're going to do something which is strictly research. I am not a doctor. I give no medical advice whatsoever. But I do follow biological research and what new things are being discovered that they never realized before. And there is a lot of them. And then I discuss them, and that's it. This is discussion. There's no medical advice whatsoever here. So understanding that, let's look into this new study on tattoos and an apparent increase in cancers. And tattoos, I specifically understand about the layers of skin and where these tattoos are, the tattoo dyes are locked in. But they're not locked in. They have discovered that they move throughout the body. Now, I discovered this in about 2015, discussing the fascia, which was from my fossils, because the fascia facilitated the fossilization. And nobody understood fascia. I mean, they really didn't understand it. And they didn't understand the fluid-filled highway, which separates all these zones and actually creates the separation between the tissue that is sloughs off and the vital tissue that's underneath where all the blood is and all that. And the invasion of that layer is literally cancer. And let's take a look at it because, again, research only. This is just to bring out some things. And even doctors don't fully understand this because this is very new research. Very, very new. All right, here we go. All right, when I say research, I'm talking research. Now, these are the different stages of cancer, 1, 2, 3, 4. So they're talking about cancer possibly having some vague link to tattoos. Well, we're going to talk about bacteria and this interstitium, which is this layer that was missed. They didn't realize this is here. And this is where your tattoo stuff is going down here and making, you know, whatever the patterns have there, but something is embedded in there and staying there. Now, normally this layer, this interstitium fluid-filled highway, is supposed to clear and keep things from invading your tissue. Now, apparently, this is where I don't know. This is where all I'm saying, this is research. Where is that tattoo locked in? Is it locked in down here? Is it locked in right there? Is it actually locked in the fluid-filled highway, or actually in the immune system? Because basically this is where your enzymes and bacteria live, and they squirt right out here, and they can see this now. And there's a video called "Your Textbooks Are Wrong. This is what cells really look like," and it shows these cellular compartments here housing bacteria and enzymes and squirting them out into the fluid-filled highway to go deliver them. And this has just been discovered. Meet your interstitium, a newfound organ. This whole thing now, they consider it an organ. They never knew it was here before. I'm not kidding you. This is 2018. Now, I was writing about this in 2015 because of my fossil research. Nothing sits alone. And I did the light research with Rod Warren, and I did my own fossil research and so forth. And it all led to the fact that fascia the coating that coats everything, which is this basically right here. This layer right here. Above that is basically skin. That can erode away pretty easily. But this is where you can't penetrate. If you penetrate there, that's where you get invasion. Invasion is cancer. And here's what cancer looks like. Again, research. I'm not telling you anything to do anything. I'm just saying, stage 1 is when it starts breaking through here. Stage 2, stage 3. When it breaks through that layer right there, which is this new fluid-filled highway, it's invading you, and it's going to have all the nutrition it wants. It's going to grow like a balloon. Now, what are they finding in kids actually recently? This is from an article about invasive colon problems with kids. Why, I can't tell you, but I do know that every single layer that coats an organ or muscle or tendon or your brains or your neurofilaments, they have a membrane. That's a membrane. And this right here is that fluid-filled highway. You get through there and break through this membrane, which this one did. You see, it broke through the membrane. This is the protector. And that has fluids in it. They're supposed to kill anything that comes through. Well, for some reason, the fluids in there weren't strong enough to stop this invasive attack. Now, as I showed you before, once it gets on this side, it can grow like crazy. Well, bits and pieces of it now are finding that they can jump in and attach here and there. And that's when it spreads. All right. Originally, if you can keep it under control in one spot, and well, again, I can't tell you anything to do, but originally, that's their hope, is that they can contain it a lot of times. I think. Again, I'm no medical person. I'm just saying this is what should protect you. Now, the only way that I can think of that we can understand what's going on here is to understand what bacteria is in a normal, healthy colon. And if they all have the same bacteria, well, you'd expect they make the same enzymes. If they make the same enzymes, that's the same chemistry. If that chemistry is there, it should stop these invasive attacks. And then there is some other stuff about how these cells attach to each other. That's a whole other issue. Those are called junctions, tight and loose junctions. But nothing sits on its own. In other words, this is chemistry, even though it's biology, because this is chemistry too. All right, what are these things? Triggers. What does that mean? Sheath. That unwraps off of these. These are ribosomes. There's a sheath. They create enzymes and proteins. Proteins build things, and enzymes break things. All right, so and those ribosomes come out of bacteria. You see this bacteria? It has its own DNA. Its own DNA says, I'm going to make a ribosome that does exactly the same thing every time. It's going to turn into an enzyme. So it squirts out this, which is this ribosome. And all these little tiny proteins attach and program this messenger RNA. All right, so it goes inside this enzyme. Whenever you see this cloud like that, that means there's an enzyme process going on. And the transfer RNA changes into this strip, and this messenger RNA goes floating around and attaches to the RNA and fuses into the DNA, and that makes you immune to something. Or it can damage you, it can hurt you and break something in you. It depends on what the bacteria is. There's healthy bacteria and there's invasive, destructive bacteria. I think that's pretty well understood now. But bacteria is the prime mover inside your guts. And it's a war against the superbugs. You got these things here. Normally I would see these as ribosomes, and they're coming out, and as soon as they see the chemical signature of something that they don't like or something they want to attack, they unsheath turn into an enzyme and instantaneously destroy those things. Enzymes are instantaneous. So those are those little balls I just showed you. The sheath comes off, the enzyme comes out and kills them. That's the war of the superbugs. But this all applies to enzymes, and enzymes are chemistry sets. All of these things are little tiny dipole moments inside of an enzyme. That's how exotic an enzyme is. And every bacteria in your body, of which you have thousands and thousands of different species, creates a specific one of those. So in other words, let's get rid of our dark matter. Out it goes. Now we have nothing but charged particles. These are all little dipoles floating around on their own. And this is what creates nucleophilic invasion and substitution. And the reason they can do this is because they have half-lives. Half-lives are when they lose 1 or 2 or 3 of these. All right, and they can break down and go and change instantaneously due to an electric spark from an enzyme. That's what the enzymes do. This is an enzyme. And if it's exactly like this, and it comes up and it sees another magnetic signature that looks just like that, only it's wrong, it goes, pew, done. It's dead. Now, that would take years to happen if it wasn't for the catalyst, which is the enzyme. So if you don't have the bacteria creating an enzyme, I would say that's a problem. So my still feeling is that a bacterial database is the only way we're ever going to know. Right now we're just guessing at what helps and what doesn't help. Because this is the thing that programs your body. These are the programmers. You see this is DNA. Just like we have DNA. This is only one single cell. This thing is so tiny it can invade everywhere through your body. And these are the ribosomes I talked about, the little blue balls. That's the flagella. And these things go flying through your bloodstream like crazy. They're all over the place. And they move fast. There's a video out, like I said, I think I said it, your textbooks are wrong. These are what cells really look like. And when you watch that, it'll blow your mind. And it's from UC Berkeley. You know, and I think it's got to be about 9 years ago now, because I had written about it in the paper I wrote right here, which was about the fascia. All right, this was 2015, so that's like 9 years ago. And the only people I could find that really knew anything about it were people in Germany. And they mentioned that they had found tattoo residue in organs, on the fascia in organs. And I called it out. It's one giant fiber. All fascia is made of collagens and keratins. It's the fabric creating a fiber, elastin, sheet wraps everything individually and then comes together as one giant system. And right now, yes, they say it's, and that was 2015. And I really searched this stuff. When I start into something, I don't let up. And I went to Johns Hopkins. Well, I didn't go there. I go to schools through Coursera and online. You go for free. Nobody's going to give you a piece of paper to say, yeah, the guy was here. But I go through Coursera, and you can too. It's free. And all you do is sign up. And I was able to engage with the professors. I went to Johns Hopkins for genomics. My professor was, I think his name was Peter Salzberg. And we engaged back and forth several times. And he was an expert on ancient DNA of something. I forget. He discovered something. And that's why I went there. And I do that. And I went to University of Geneva, too, about our particle physics, about all this light. And they listened, too. They were very receptive. We accelerated light. Their problem is they were using just gigantic particles. They're using things like this, which is nothing more than things like this. We started out with things like this. We didn't have to smash things and have just debris. And this is what happened. They had nothing more than debris. This is what they get. They take these things here. Boom! And all that stuff comes flying out. And they think these are all elementary particles. Well, they're not. That's a photon, basically. Only it's black and then the colors. And then these are the individual white-like particles, which I showed in my right here. When this smashes to bits, sometimes they're going to see some photons, they're going to see dipole electrons, they're going to see just red pieces and blue pieces and green pieces. They're going to see all that, and then they're going to see chunks like this, which are a whole bunch of them together. And that is precisely, exactly what they say. You see the little parts, the greens, the blues, and the reds? Yes. You see the X, that's these. All right, and you see the photons, that's what a photon looks like. Then they see neutrino values, which are in between all of this. X just means it could be this big, it could be this big, it could be that big. And they have no idea what it is, but they think they're all elementary particles. I think they know, they realize right now, it's just not right. And this was from 2015, the Russians did this in space with charged particles, and they can separate the dark, push it away. I never realized it could be done. On Earth, it really can't be done because they get squished together. But out in space, they can separate, which creates these little black holes. Anybody looking for them? There they are. All right, I just want to mention this now. This was my paper from 2015. This is about the fascia. Fascia is the area we're talking about where the tattoos go. Now, again, I was basically one of the first ones to study it. When I started searching around, because it was showing up in my fossils, fascia facilitated fossilization. It coded everything, and it coded it with keragens and collagens, and primarily phosphorus, phospholipid bilipid layers, phosphorus. And what happens is the phosphorus converted down from phosphorus to aluminum silicates, which is feldspar. Feldspar is what coats virtually almost all rocks. I'm serious. Almost all rocks are coated with aluminum silicates, which is feldspar, and that's boiled down from phosphorus. All right, so this is when I knew about this fascia, and I did this paper about it, and this was what I said. I said fascia was, this is the only thing that really matters for you to know about. Fascia was thought to be mere packing material, virtually inert. It's long been ignored as a subject of research. The only people who were looking into it were people that were sports injury people. They weren't looking into it for any other reason. Recently, however, there's been new equipment allows viewing of fascia as it does its job. That's that video I'm talking about. Once again, as in many experiments, there was totally unexpected results. It was amazing. And the fascia is this tubular filled fluid fabric network. This is exactly what I said. And there's all kinds of silicon, and this was what caused the fossilization, was tons of silicon and the movement down from the phospholipid layers down to aluminum silicates, which is the feldspar. So again, nothing sits alone. If you think you're going to just learn one little thing and you know it all, no, you have to know it all to know it all. That's all it is. Okay, my friends, I cannot say it enough. I am strictly research, and I am responding to Lund University's research on the risk of cancer from tattoos. What do they claim? And what is their claims all about? That's all I do is research. I'm not saying do this, don't do that. Now, it says a new study from Lund University in Sweden suggests that tattoos could be a risk factor for cancer in the lymphatic system, or lymphoma. Now the researchers underline the need for more research on the topic. And this is a research team at Lund University. They examined the links. Now, again, I am just talking about what they're talking about. This is a research study that is legitimate. I am not a legitimate researcher in this field. However, I am a legitimate researcher in all these other fields, and they are not. If they don't understand how nucleophilic substitution and invasion and free energy is given off by the isotopes, they're missing the whole boat. And they don't understand that. And how that unfolds into the biology of nucleophilic substitution is continuous things going on in your body continuously. As your blood passes through, the metals in your blood carry charged particles with them. They're ligands, and they deposit them all over the place. And because of their charges, they actually create half-life divisions and enzymes and everything else are carried with these bacteria through this lymph system. And it's everywhere in your body, everywhere. There's more lymph in your body. I think it's 4 times more lymph than there is blood. If I'm wrong, somebody correct me, but I believe that's what I recall. And as a matter of fact, I just did some videos on the lymph system actually showing it working. It is what it is. And whether it affects you as the tattoos, I don't know. But I could see that, it's being injected into your fleshy areas, which is, again, this is something they didn't even know about just till a couple of years ago, right here. So here's your skin. Now, where is the tattoo? The skin wears away. This is meant to just be sort of discardable. It just flakes off. Skin is flaking off like unbelievable amount of skin. You have no idea how much skin flakes off. And it just keeps going and going and going and going. Well, if something invades it, or you get a cut or something, and you can't stop the things that are getting into you with your own chemistry, they will continue to invade. That's called cancer. That's, well, first of all, it's called, an infection. It's infected. And they start to work their way in, and eating little things are going to be basically living on your tissues. The closer they get to here, the more nutrition they're going to get. If they can get through this barrier, they've got all that red blood to work on. They got everything they want. That's the motherland. And that's why you have these stages of cancer. Early stage, you just see invasive mass, a tumor sort of trying to get in there and growing on the outside surface. No spread, no lymph, no tissue. Anyway, and then it comes down to where it's way deep inside you, stage 4, and then you're pretty much in trouble. They do have some procedures now, but anyway, this is basically cancer. This is stage 1. It gets around here and it's living there. Stage 2 down here. Stage 3, stage 4, it's inside. So that, and again, I'm not a doctor. I'm just telling you that's how it works. Okay, so what in the research world could we do about this? What can we do about this global threat to public health? This is the war against superbugs. Now, some people get them and do not die from them, and they get better, and there's no real damage done. Why is that happen, and the guy next to him falls over dead? It's got to be a reason. And in the research realm, it's chemistry, as far as I'm concerned. Some kind of chemistry is different. There's no question whatsoever. This guy's got some chemistry in him that stopped that invasion. Can anybody argue with that? I don't think so. This guy didn't have the chemistry. He falls over dead. He got invaded. It went right through his cell walls and all that stuff, and took over the mechanism of his body and killed him. Okay, Roger, just doing my regular research thing, not telling anybody to do anything or not do anything. But they're talking about this new research linking tattoos to an increased risk of cancer. Now, this is Lund University, and they're doing some research. Now, this is not just kidding around stuff. This is a new study from Lund University in Sweden, suggests that tattoos could be a risk factor for cancer in the lymphatic system or lymphoma. Now the researchers underlined the need for more research on a topic. Exactly, that's what my whole life is about. Now I'm going to show you what she has to say on this, and it's good. She gives a good presentation. So get ready. All right, here it goes. This is Dr. Nielsen comments on a new study, credit to Lund University. All right, and here she's going to talk about what they have found. Here goes.
We have investigated the association between tattoos and lymphoma, and our study shows that tattooed individuals have a 20% increased risk of lymphoma. Lymphoma is a type of cancer that originates from the cells of the immune system. In Sweden, we have national registries that allows us to identify every individual who's been diagnosed with lymphoma. So that's basically what we did. We identified 3,000 individuals who were diagnosed with lymphoma between 2007 and 17, and 9,000 individuals who did not develop lymphoma. And we saw then that the risk of lymphoma was 20% higher among those with tattoos. Our study does not answer what's the actual cause in the tattoo ink that's driving the association between tattoos and lymphoma. But we do know from the literature that the ink that is injected in the skin does not stay in the skin, but that it's relocated within the body.
Okay, and that is true. I know this because of my research with people that do fascia research. They say they have seen these inks in fascia in other places in the body. Tattoo stuff down in where organs are. So, and that kind of led us to the fluid-filled highway theory.
And ends up within the lymphatic system.
So lymphatic system.
We were surprised to see that there were no extra risk increase among those who had really large tattoos, which was something that we sort of expected to see. On the contrary, we actually saw that it was enough with one tattoo to have this risk increase.
Okay, now again, research only. If we had a database of bacteria that's in the system, because again, that layer of interstitium is supposed to keep the invaders at bay, and that's only done with enzymes, and enzymes come from bacteria. Basically, that's biology and chemistry. That is not guesses. So if we knew what bacteria was supposed to be in the body, and we had a complete bacterial database of all these different people, sick ones, healthy ones, and so forth, you're going to see a pattern. It says if all these people way down here with a certain whatever it is, and it's going to be a bacteria enzyme. It's not going to be there to do the chemistry. And as I showed you, the chemistry is so complicated, and it can only be done by bacteria. All right, that bacteria creates these ribosomes. All right, those ribosomes are these ribosomes. They unsheath when they want to attack something and with an enzyme, or they want to build something for bone or whatever. All right, as something attacks you, you send these little guys in, and they attack back and kill it before it can invade too deep. You're going to be getting invaded like this all day long, basically, especially if you're working and you're in dirt and you're doing all kinds of who knows what. And but once it breaks through the cell walls and it can get through, then you got an issue. You got to get it out of here somehow. You got to stop it before it invades through, basically, and that's what this layer is supposed to be doing. And again, it's sort of a new concept, so I'm not pointing any fingers at anybody, but I think they should look at it very carefully, because that thin little layer is this little layer right here. Once you're in through there, very little you can do to stop it unless something comes in to attack it. And that's where they use all of the, toxic chemicals in your body to come in and kill these things. Now, they also kill other things in your body. There's talk about different ways to repopulate the things that should be there after you kill the things that shouldn't be there. That's the key. If this thing shouldn't be there, but you got tons of bacteria floating through here, they're all over the place. But when you invade something with a lot of chemistry to kill that specific thing, and it may only kill that specific thing. I'm not pointing one way or the other, but more than likely, it's not going to just injure this. It's going to kill other living things that could possibly be beneficial to you. We don't know. We have no idea because we don't have a database of what bacteria lives traditionally in a body that's able to deal with all these invasive chemistry, because that's all it is invasive chemistry. If you have your own chemistry fighting that chemistry, you win. Okay, so here's Dr. Nielsen again, and she's saying that just one tattoo is enough to apparently get into the system, because it's a possibility you don't have some bacterial enzyme, because only the bacteria make the enzymes. So here's what she's got to say.
I actually saw that it was enough with one tattoo to have this risk increase. I think there are two key points to remember. I think the first one is that it's not more dangerous today to have a tattoo than it was yesterday, but we need to make sure that tattoos will be safe tomorrow. So we need to put pressure on the color industry, the ink industry, to produce safer ink. And for the individual, I think it's really important to be aware that tattoos may be associated with health aspects. So if you have any symptoms that you think is related to your tattoo, then you should seek health care.
Right, that's Lund University, 1666. Okay, my friends, again, this is strictly research, but before you can do anything, you have to understand the nature of matter. And it's not well understood. The standard model doesn't work. They know this for a fact. They can't understand dark matter. They don't understand all kinds of things. Neutrinos, light, any of that stuff. I said 50 years ago that the transfer of all energy is from light to atomic vapor. Well, what is light made out of? It's made out of a dipole. And this is dipole electron flood theory. That's my dipole electron flood theory. And if you look it up, here it is right there. You can come up on the internet and look it up, dipole electron flood theory. And it's dipole electron flood theory. A new atomic model changes the nucleus from a completely positive core into a dipole mass, basically, made up of tiny dipoles called Dirac neutrinos, instead of a large positive-only core. Protons and neutrons are made of dipoles. All right, protons and neutrons are just made up of chunks of dipoles. 1823 dipoles is a proton, and it is charged. Neutrons are just one more extra particle, dipole, which makes it uncharged. And here's what they look like. Can you see way down there? Yes, you can. This is what they look like right here. Right now, they think this is a proton, that's a neutron. And they're just big solid things, and they have a couple of quarks here and there in them. They have no idea what's in them, but when they smash them to bits, they see all kinds of debris come out. Well, here's what's in them. This is a proton. All right? It's got 1,823 of these little particles, and they're dipoles. And guess what? The white ones always surround the black. So in real truthfulness, every single atom, and you only can see atoms. You're not going to see these light particles, which we're showing. We're showing light particles. These are atoms way bigger. We're showing only a couple of these little bits. When you look at anything, it's going to reflect back at you, and all you're going to see is light. So you never see the darkness. Well, guess what? The dark went right to the center. There it is right there. Exactly what I'm showing here. And the tighter and closer it is to the darker, the tighter the color and the frequency. All right, these ones, when they escape, they're way up in the red. I mean, in the blue range and the ultraviolet and so forth. Down here, they're just loosely held, and they found this is exactly what they found. Everything I'm showing you, I can stand behind and show you evidence to support it. All right, so don't forget, it's dipole electron flood theory. It fixes everything in physics, literally everything, and in chemistry and in biology. All right, so these are just research claims I'm making. I'm trying to present evidence. I'm not saying do this or don't do that. So don't forget, that's all. I want to be certain this is understood, because I know there's a real pushback against anybody's claiming you should do this, and because a lot of people are making some crazy claims. I agree. I say here's what the evidence supports. Now let's look at the evidence.